Welcome, everybody, to the C-Suite Sherpa podcast. This is your host, Brian Marshall, where we focus on great leaders and advisors into the C-Suite. And speaking of great advisors into the C-Suite, today we've got Fred Shatzoff with Everest Business Capital. Fred is your Sherpa when it comes to finance and business credit. So, Fred, tell us about your business and who you work with.
Okay, Brian, thanks very much. So basically, what we do is we help business owners establish corporate credit. And basically, what they do is they use their EIN number as compared with their social security because you really want to keep business and personal separate. But what you need to do first is your business needs to look truly like a business. What do I mean by that? First of all, you have to have a business address. You have to have a business website. You need to have a business email that matches the business. You can't have a Gmail address. You need to have a business phone number. You need to be coded correctly as far as the correct codes of what your business does. We're a white glove service and we hold your hand and walk you through the entire process so that you can get funding for your business. We're building credit similar to when you first got started with credit. First, you got a store card, you paid that on time, and then eventually they gave you larger amounts of credit. The goal here is to be able to purchase a vehicle in your name and get a gas slash fleet card.
Got it. That's a great concept. I mean, I think a lot of people, I've owned multiple businesses and I didn't probably figure out that there was even a business credit option until after multiple attempts to try to get bank loans in my personal name and guaranteeing and personally guaranteeing things. And then someone says you should never be personally guaranteeing your business loans if you can get credit through the company. And I'm thinking, I didn't know that was an option. So what are the challenges that a business owner faces trying to get credit, and what are some of the pitfalls they have to watch out for if they try to personally guarantee something?
Okay, so the biggest misconception is I have a lot of people will say to me, well, Fred, I already have business credit. And I'll say, did you personally guarantee the business credit? If they say yes, all that really means is that you got a credit card with your first and last name and the business's last name. And guess what? You're still personally responsible for that. So business credit is really the same thing as personal credit, whereas corporate credit is truly using your EIN number. So the biggest hurdle is getting people to understand what the difference is. Once they understand the difference, most people will go ahead and do this, but they need some hand holding to be able to make sure that their business is set up correctly. I mean, obviously you want to make sure they have an LLC or you have an S corp, because if you come to me and you're a sole proprietor, you're going to want to first get an LLC set up because there's a lot of people that have LLCs, but then they don't get any corporate credit. So basically what I do is I educate people on the way to actually get credit.
So tell me about the challenges you're seeing business owners facing right now. What are you seeing from a business perspective as far as challenges in terms of like getting bank credit, getting credit through the company, and then how are you helping them overcome that?
Okay, so most business owners, when they go out and they start a business, maybe they left a job, maybe they have money from their 401k, they use that money to start their business, but then they want to expand that business. So typically they will drain down their savings, they'll use their personal credit card. Next thing you know, maybe they owe $50,000 on their credit cards, and now they're maxed out as far as their personal credit cards are concerned. And then if they want to get more, you know, credit cards, they're not able to do that because their credit utilization is high. I try to explain to most business owners, you know what? Let's turn around and let's use corporate credit. Now, a lot of times if I talk to a business owner, he may say, Fred, that's all good and well. I can't wait 6 months to get money for my business. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, you know, Brian, how long have you been in business? So Brian tells me he's been in business for 6 months. Okay, great. Do you have a business bank account? Yes, you do. Are you set up as an LLC? Yes. Okay, so Brian, if we look at your last 3 to 4 months worth of business bank statements, on average, how much worth of sales do you make every month? So suppose he tells me he makes $50,000 a month. So what we could do is we could get them short-term working capital where there's a 3 to 6 to 9 month payback. So he gets 50,000 and maybe he pays back 65,000 and they take money out of his account Monday through Friday. So I'm going to say, Brian, all right, let's do that as a temporary solution. In the meantime, let's build your business credit. So let's take some of the money that you got and let's use that to get started with building the corporate credit, because otherwise what ends up happening is you get one working capital loan. Next thing you know, you get a second one. Next thing you know, you have three, and all of a sudden you're paying a lot of money for that because payback could be 25 to 40% of what you make. But that's one way. Another way might be somebody might say, well, you know what? I do have great credit. Okay, fine. We could get you an unsecured line of credit at 0% interest for 12 to 18 months. Again, much more affordable. At least it's 0% interest for 12 to 18 months, and you can get that money immediately. And let's also start to build your corporate credit at the same time, so you really don't have personal guarantees on everything and you keep everything separate because, you know, maybe you want to buy a bigger house. Maybe you don't own a house, but now your credit utilization is high. You're not going to be able to do that. So we try to analyze the situation and see, do you need immediate money or do you need something down the future? So even if you're brand new and you're just starting a business, you know what? It makes more sense to go and get corporate credit immediately, even though you're going to say, well, I don't really need the money. Well, you know what? It's better to have the money and not need it rather than get in a situation where I need the money. And now all of a sudden I have issues with cash flow and I have issues with my personal credit. So I try to act as a consultant and give a business owner options.
When you and I talked offline and I asked you to come on because I wanted people to hear about this, the mistake that business owners make that I've seen is they wait until they absolutely need credit. And that's the worst time to try to apply because you probably don't have balances in your bank. You may not have the income, whatever the case might be, but you're at the weakest point financially, either personally or as a business. And then you're asking for money. And if you're lucky enough to get it, the rates are going to be through the roof. And that whole debt cycle could actually put you out of business. So what you're saying is get your credit established as a business proactively, the right away. Start building lines of credit even before you need it. People are like, well, I don't want to pay interest. Well, having a little bit of interest in establishing credit so that you can build that up and tap into it when you need it is a great asset to have for your business. And the other part is that this is clearly more complex than most of us think. So we got to have someone like you guide us through it. So folks, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, yeah, I probably should do this, give Fred a call, reach out to him. He's going to help you work through that. You need a Sherpa to take you up the Mount Everest of capital, and Fred's the guy. So, Fred, thanks. I appreciate that. Before we go, I want to do a quick thing called the lightning round with you. Have a little bit of fun. And when we're done with that, I'm going to ask you to tell us how people can get in touch with you. So hold on to that for a second. And folks, we're going to post that on the description where we talk about Fred and his business and how to get in touch with them. So Fred, let's switch to the lightning round. Are you ready? I'm going to
I'm
ask you.
ready. Let's
All right.
go.
So quick questions, quick answers, no wrong answers. Let's have some fun. So first question, coffee or tea?
I love coffee.
All right, good. How about cats or dogs?
Absolutely dogs.
All right, that's good. My dogs are listening, so they wanted to hear that answer.
Hi, guys. Have a nice doggy day.
No, they're laying at my feet, just enjoying the day. Let's say that you just find out the zombie apocalypse broke out. What's one thing you would grab before you ran for your life?
I'd probably grab water, grab my dog, grab my wife, and leave everything else and just go like hell. Get in the car and just go.
Take off. There you go. All right, more serious. A book that you've read recently that you'd recommend to others.
Okay, I'm rereading again Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I
Yep,
think I've
great
read it
book.
five, six times. Yeah, it's a great book, right?
Amazing how the wisdom still applies today. And
It,
that book's like 100 years old or
I
90
know
years
it's
old. It's
older than
crazy.
me and you combined.
Yeah, that's amazing. No, great book. Highly recommend that. How about, do you have any kind of streaming series, anything you're watching that you'd recommend to people?
I really don't watch Netflix much, but what I like to watch is the NCIS series
Yeah,
or
okay.
CSI
Absolutely.
Miami. I always like these detective shows. It's always interesting.
And then on a more serious note, tell me about a bucket list item that you've accomplished in your life already.
Okay, I guess the bucket list is going to the bottom of the Grand Canyon. That was a little bit challenging. I mean, you really had to be in good shape to get down there. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it, but it is amazing. What a view down there.
Yeah, it is. Going back up's even harder.
Yeah, that's true too. It's harder going up.
How about one that you haven't done yet? So one bucket list item that you plan on doing.
Yeah, what I'd like to do is at some point I'd like to go to Israel, but with the current climate right now, you really don't want to travel there. I mean, you might not make it back. I hate
Oh,
to say it.
that's true. Well, I hope you get a chance to do that. I really do.
Thank you.
It sounds like I've heard it's amazing. It's something I'd like to do on my bucket list, and same reasons. Right now,
Yeah,
probably showing
exactly.
up as an American,
Yeah.
even as a Gentile, it's dangerous.
Yeah, you're right. It definitely is very dangerous right now.
So, last question. You and I've been through a lot in life, and as you look back, what's probably the biggest challenge that you've had to overcome, and what's one big lesson that you took away from that challenge?
I guess the biggest challenge is probably getting started in the business field because when you're a young kid, you really don't know very much. But, fortunately, I had a lot of mentors that helped me. I went to a lot of seminars, read a lot of books. I still do that today. I'm still constantly learning and growing. And, I just try to keep everything very simple. You got some people that are, you know, TikTok and all that stuff. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. I mean, I know how to talk to somebody and email somebody and send a text. I know how to do what I need to do on the internet. Some of this other stuff, I have no desire at this stage in my life to do it. You find somebody and let somebody else do that for you.
I hear you. You know, and a lot of the people that are on social media, they don't know how to have conversations with people.
It's
Like they
very
would
true.
struggle with this that because they're not used to interacting in real time and they speak in emojis. And I saw a Facebook meme that showed a picture of hieroglyphics from, the pyramids, and it's basically then showed all the emojis and said essentially we're back to using hieroglyphics again. And people are going to have to figure out what it means. I get stuff from my kids. I get replies and I'm not even sure what it means. It's just
Yeah,
pictures,
it's
right?
it's true. You see a family out eating in the restaurant, they're all on their cell phones.
Yeah.
Like get off the cell
And
phone.
look at each other, have a conversation.
You even see that when you go to a funeral or a wake. I mean, first of
Yeah.
all, have some respect. Leave the phone in the car. Have respect.
We sound like the old guy sitting at the diner complaining about the
Yeah,
young kids, don't we?
yeah, I know. Sometimes I'm going,
Wait a
now
minute.
I sound like my mother or my
That's right.
father. It's
Yeah.
funny.
So, listen, Fred, it's been great having you on the podcast. I really encourage people to reach out to you. I've learned a lot already from talking to you. And again, folks, if someone wants to get in touch with you, Fred, what's the best way to reach out to you?
They could call me at 551 272 9067. They can email me, Fred at everestbusinesscapital.com, or they could go to my website, everestbusinesscapital.com. We're happy to have a conversation and help anybody that needs our help.
Awesome. We'll make sure we have all that captured in the description. So, folks, if you didn't get that, don't panic. Check the description of the video on our YouTube channel. Again, Fred, thanks for being a guest on the podcast today. I encourage you to go out and subscribe to our channel so you can see other great interviews like the one with Fred. We've got over 100 interviews we've done with great resources, and it's worth your time. So, again, Fred, thank you and appreciate you being on the podcast.
Thank you, Brian. It was my pleasure. I enjoyed it.